The key insight here is that Latin America and Southeast Asia are leading in affordable, regulated care for the masses, while East Asia and Europe excel in that high-end R&D. The choice really depends entirely on your specific medical condition, your comfort with doing your own research, and your ultimate treatment goals.
Welcome to STEMCIERGE, your global concierge for advanced regenerative medicine. Here, we explore the science and breakthroughs redefining longevity and human performance, giving you clarity, confidence, and trusted insights as you navigate stem cell therapy around the world. Let's begin our deep dive.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into one of the most exciting and maybe one of the most confusing fields in modern medicine, regenerative therapy, specifically stem cells.
It's so true. I mean, for anyone out there dealing with persistent chronic pain or an orthopedic injury that just won't heal, or maybe an autoimmune condition, regenerative medicine really offers a lot of hope. But the search for advanced, affordable treatments, well, it often pushes patients to look far outside their home country.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. A really comprehensive deep dive into the global landscape of stem cell therapy for 2026. We need to compare the costs, assess the regulatory safety, and, pinpoint where the specializations are. The goal is pretty simple, to make sure you can make an informed, confident choice about where in the world you might go for care.
And this choice is becoming absolutely essential. Global demand for this kind of medicine is rising at, a staggering 20% year over year. But like you said, the availability, the regulations, the pricing, it all differs so drastically from one country to the next. We're basically navigating a medical patchwork.
So let's start with the core driver for this medical travel, especially for, say, U.S. patients. Why is travel even necessary? Why can't they just get these treatments at home?
The regulatory hurdle is the biggest roadblock. It really is. Right now, the FDA only approves hematopoietic, that's blood-forming stem cell transplants. So most of the other applications, especially those using what are called mesenchymal stem cells, or MSCs.
And that's for things like arthritis or neurological repair.
Exactly, or autoimmune conditions. All of that is still considered investigational in the U.S., which means it's really only accessible through these highly restricted clinical trials.
Which is great for research, of course, but not very helpful if you need treatment now.
Precisely. And then, even if you could find a treatment domestically, there's the crushing cost factor. Stem cell procedures in the U.S., they typically start around $15,000 and can easily go over $50,000. And insurance coverage is minimal to, non-existent.
And we've heard that equivalent therapies abroad can be 60 to 80% less. Is that massive gap just because of a regulatory lag? Or are there other factors like labor costs that make it so much cheaper in a place like Mexico versus the U.S.?
That's a key question. It's a combination. The primary cost saving does come from that regulatory streamlining. These countries don't require the, decade-long, multi-million-dollar phase 3 trials the U.S. demands. But yes, absolutely. Big differences in labor costs, facility overhead, even pharmaceutical pricing in places like Thailand or Colombia. It all drives that overall cost way down.
What's so fascinating here is that those price breaks are accessible right now in countries that legally and safely offer advanced treatments. Not just MSCs, but also something called exosomes. Can you just briefly define those for us?
Of course. Exosomes are these tiny nanoscale vesicles. Think of them as cellular messengers that are released by the stem cells. And they're critical because they carry growth factors and therapeutic proteins that stimulate regeneration and reduce inflammation. And they can do that often without the actual living cell needing to be present. They're a massive focus for global research.
That brings us immediately to the most important challenge, safety. How do you ensure safety when you're considering traveling for medical care? What are the absolute non-negotiables?
Due diligence is everything. It's paramount. Before you even think about booking, we've identified 5 crucial screening steps you have to evaluate. First up, national licensing. You must check for approval by that country's official health authority. This is how you vet the clinic itself.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like on the ground?
Sure. In Mexico, you'd look for COFEPRIS approval. That's their Federal Commission for Protection Against Health Risks. In Colombia, it's INVIMA. In Thailand, it's the Thai FDA. This just ensures the facility is operating under a known government system, not some, private loophole.
Okay, so that covers the clinic. What's step 2?
Stem cell quality. This is where a lot of shortcuts can happen. You have to insist that the cells are processed in GMP-certified labs. GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practice. This verifies sterility, proper donor screening, and cell counting, which is absolutely key to potency and safety.
GMP certification sounds like the gold standard. But if it's the gold standard, why are some legitimate clinics operating under different local standards? I mean, how do you evaluate a non-GMP lab that is still nationally licensed?
That's the real challenge, especially in what we call Tier 3 countries. A national license ensures they operate legally. But GMP certification, that guarantees international manufacturing quality. It's an extra and very expensive layer of proof that the cells were handled to the highest possible standard. So if a clinic isn't GMP, you have to rely entirely on their internal lab data and the doctor's reputation, which, it just increases the risk.
Understood. What are the other three non-negotiables?
Third is understanding the treatment scope. Are they using allogeneic, which is donor-derived cells, or autologous self-derived cells? And is that use legally sanctioned for your specific condition in that country? Fourth, always request transparent pricing. A full breakdown in US dollars, covering the cells, the consultation, the aftercare, everything. And finally, choose a licensed clinical environment, ideally a research center or a hospital with bilingual staff and, published outcomes.
So to summarize this whole global safety landscape, we can really think of it in three distinct tiers. Tier 1 is the strictly controlled group, the United States, Japan, Germany. The highest safety standards, but, access to advanced therapies outside of trials is minimal.
Then you have Tier 2, the balanced framework. This would include places like Thailand, Panama, Colombia, and the UAE. These countries have clear approval pathways, audited labs, and offer safe access to MSCs and exosomes within a pretty robust system.
And then finally, Tier 3. Permissive, but licensed. Places like Mexico, Turkey, and India. These offer much broader availability, often the lowest cost, but they absolutely require you, the patient, to independently verify the clinic's license and the doctor's credentials. The responsibility is really on the consumer.
And a critical red flag to watch out for. Avoid any provider that's offering, same-day high-dose infusions without any prior medical evaluation or transparent info on where those cells came from. A lack of transparency equals a massive risk.
That is extremely clear guidance.
Just a quick break. This episode is brought to you by STEMCIERGE. If you're exploring stem cell therapy or evaluating clinics around the world, visit STEMCIERGE.com and take the free quiz to receive your personalized assessment. You'll get expert feedback on your eligibility, treatment options, and potential destinations, empowering you to make informed, confident decisions in the world of regenerative medicine. Visit STEMCIERGE.com today. Now, back to the episode.
Okay, so we've established the regulatory standards. Now let's apply those 5 screening steps to the actual places people are traveling to. We're moving into Section 2, balancing cost, quality, and specialization.
Right, and we can start with what we call the research and precision hubs. These are the top Tier 1 and Tier 2 countries that really prioritize scientific rigor.
Okay, so tell us about Panama first. It's known for its research-led therapies, and it's home to the famous Stem Cell Institute.
Panama is exceptional. We'd rate it a 5 out of 5 for quality. They have some of the highest global purity standards, specifically using GMP-expanded umbilical cord-derived MSCs. Their specialty is in complex autoimmune and neurological conditions, things like MS and autism.
What specifically justifies that perfect 5 out of 5 rating?
It's the rigor of their oversight. Panama has English-speaking specialists, government-approved labs, and most importantly, a national ethics board. And that board reviews every single new protocol before it can be offered. Patient protection is just their top priority. The cost is typically in the range of $10,000 to $30,000.
Very rigorous. Okay, next up, let's look at Japan, which is a real pioneer in regulatory innovation.
Japan also scores very high, a solid 4 out of 5. They have exceptional sterility controls, and they're known for advanced workflows with MSCs and also iPSCs, induced pluripotent stem cells. These are cells that can be essentially reprogrammed from adult cells back to an embryonic-like state.
What?
Super versatile.
Wait, cutting the timeline by 5 years is monumental. What exactly did Japan change in that 2014 Regenerative Medicine Act that let them move so fast without sacrificing safety?
That is the key global insight. Japan created a new fast-track conditional approval system. So instead of waiting 8 years for massive phase 3 data, new therapies, if they're proven safe and show early signs of working, could be conditionally approved within just 3 years. And the condition is that they have to continue collecting post-market safety data. It's a really genius balance of innovation and surveillance. Costs there run from $12,000 to $30,000.
And finally, in this precision group, we have Germany, Europe's clinical gold standard.
Right. Germany scores a 4 out of 5. They focus almost exclusively on elite autologous, so self-derived cell processing, and it's all under very strict EU GMP regulations. They're best known for orthopedic, cardiac, and hematologic therapies, with costs tending to be higher, usually $15,000 to $40,000.
So the takeaway from Panama, Japan, and Germany is precision, rigor, top-tier oversight, but often at a much higher price. Now let's pivot to where most people are probably looking. The countries that solve the affordability problem? The accessible and affordable Asian and Latin American leaders.
Let's start with Thailand. They've done a great job blending clinical expertise with this sort of integrated, holistic wellness.
And what's their quality assurance like?
They get a strong 4 out of 5 on quality. And that's largely because their regulatory framework insists that all cell processing has to happen inside licensed hospitals or university-affiliated labs. That mandate provides this inherent layer of patient safety, and their focus is on joint repair, longevity, and post-surgical rehab.
And their costs are remarkably accessible.
They are. Thailand is the most affordable, high-quality option we reviewed. You're looking at a range of $3,000 to $13,000. That's just a fraction of the U.S. price for a similarly high-grade treatment.
Now contrast that with Mexico. It's the world's most visited destination for this, but we gave it a 3 out of 5 quality score. If the quality is only a 3 out of 5, why is it the most popular spot? Is it just that convenience and cost are overriding the search for the absolute best quality?
It absolutely is. It's a calculation of accessibility and convenience. Mexico is just geographically so easy for North Americans, and the treatments are very cost-effective, typically $3,500 to $15,000. But that quality is variable, which is why we gave it a 3 out of 5.
So the big caveat here is massive patient responsibility.
Exactly. Mexico specializes in high-volume treatments for chronic pain and autoimmune issues, lots of IV MSC treatments. But you must confirm their COFEPRIS license and verify the clinic's specific lab standards because the enforcement isn't as consistent as, say, Thailand or Panama.
And finally in this group, Colombia.
Colombia is a really powerful blend of biomedical innovation and that national oversight from INVIMA. They also score a 3 out of 5, with quality really depending on the specific hospital's accreditation. They focus heavily on sports injuries, orthopedic repair, and anti-aging, with costs that are pretty competitive with Mexico, from $4,000 to $15,000.
That grouping is excellent. It really shows the clear trade-off between price and how much verification work you have to do. Let's wrap this section with a quick look at some of the emerging hubs and specific focus areas, starting with the UAE.
Right. The UAE is being driven by their Vision 2031 program to become the Middle East's biotech leader. They score a solid 4 out of 5 using advanced GMP labs and very strict oversight from the DHA, the Dubai Health Authority. Their focus is mainly on orthopedic care, chronic pain, and rejuvenation, but costs are higher, usually $8,000 to $20,000.
And South Korea, Asia's biotech powerhouse, especially for precision aesthetics, right?
That's right, a 4 out of 5 quality score there. They're known for strong clinical-grade MSC use, often affiliated with top hospitals. Their specialty is really surgical precision and restoration. So skin rejuvenation, hair restoration, cartilage repair, costs are competitive, around $6,000 to $15,000.
Then there's Turkey, offering affordable European care. They often advertise procedures in JCI-accredited hospitals. What exactly is JCI accreditation?
JCI stands for Joint Commission International. It's a globally recognized nonprofit that certifies healthcare quality and safety standards for international hospitals. So seeing that is a great sign of overall infrastructure safety.
That makes those low-cost options feel a lot safer. But we rated their cell quality at only a 2 out of 5.
Turkey is highly competitive on cost, $4,000 to $8,000, and the hospital infrastructure is often top-notch because of JCI. You're right. However, the variable quality control on the actual MSC product itself can be a risk. It just means patients need to be really careful with clinic selection, especially if they're going for orthopedic or vascular regeneration.
Okay, we have covered a huge amount of data across 9 key destinations. Now for the practical application.
Yeah.
How do you, the listener, match your specific medical need to the right country? Because choosing based on specialization, not just price, That feels like the real key takeaway here.
It absolutely is. So we created a matrix based on clinical focus. If your primary need is, say, orthopedic or sports injuries, you should prioritize countries with strong surgical and rehab cultures. So think Thailand, Colombia, South Korea, Turkey, or Germany.
What if the issue is more of a chronic systemic problem, like an autoimmune disorder?
Okay, here you need protocols that focus on immune modulation and anti-inflammation. For that, Panama and Mexico are the top recommendations, specifically because they have specialized programs for high-dose MSC infusions that are aimed at managing that systemic inflammation.
And for the most complex cases, like neurological or spinal conditions,
This requires access to really advanced research and specific protocols. So Panama and Japan are recommended for their high ethical and research standards. You could also look at India and Israel, which offer access to some highly specific experimental and next-generation therapies.
and lastly, for anti-aging and longevity purposes.
You'd look toward the wellness integration hubs. Thailand, Colombia, the UAE, and South Korea really lead the way there. They integrate MSC and exosome therapy with these comprehensive metabolic optimization and preventative wellness programs.
That matrix by specialty is really vital for making an intelligent choice. Before we wrap up, let's just quickly review that final pre-booking checklist to avoid the major risks.
This is the firewall. This is what stands between an informed decision and a potential problem. First, always verify the clinic license with the National Health Authority. Make them prove it. Second, confirm GMP lab certification for all the cell products. And critically, avoid any providers making miracle cure claims or guaranteeing universal results. Stem cell therapy is an advanced medical treatment, not a magic solution.
So what does this all mean? The market for regenerative medicine is completely globalized. And navigating it successfully means you, the consumer, have to be highly knowledgeable about where risk management is highest.
Exactly. We've seen that Mexico and Thailand offer a fantastic combination of affordability and reliable local oversight. Panama and Colombia balance that research credibility with accessibility, especially for complex disorders. And then Germany, Japan, and South Korea, they really set the global benchmark for scientific precision.
The key insight here is that Latin America and Southeast Asia are leading in affordable, regulated care for the masses, while East Asia and Europe excel in that high-end R&D. The choice really depends entirely on your specific medical condition, your comfort with doing your own research, and your ultimate treatment goals.
And we covered the fact that Japan's regulatory framework, it just dramatically accelerated the approval timeline for these therapies, cutting it from 8 years down to just 3 by focusing on post-market surveillance.
And that leads to our provocative thought for you. Considering that rapid global shift in regulations and research, where jurisdictions are literally racing to approve and test new therapies, how should you factor the pace of innovation, not just the current availability, into your planning? Is the best clinic the one that exists today? Or is it the one that's going to receive the next major regulatory approval tomorrow? Just think about how quickly this entire map could change.
What's going to be the next major shift in where people go for regenerative medicine, and what will that do to the price tag?
Only time will tell. But hopefully, you now have the tools to make a much more informed choice about navigating this market today.
I think so.
Precisely. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Thank you for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please leave us a 5-star rating and review, then share it with someone who may benefit from it. For global insights and personalized guidance on stem cell therapy, visit STEMCIERGE.com to receive your tailored assessment and explore your treatment options with clarity and confidence. And as always, remember, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult your doctor before making decisions about your health. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered with STEMCIERGE.com.